Hi all. These are generally conversations between adults after the children have left the table. The language can be spicy and the subjects can get saucy. So if you're ready, this is the Southern Fork. Unscripted kitchen chats and also studio chats with some of the most interesting voices in the culinary South. I'm Stephanie Burt, a food and beverage writer based in Charleston, South Carolina, who travels with her fork to write for a variety of publications, from magazines you might have on your coffee table to the website you love to visit for your favorite recipes. And I'm inviting you to come behind the scenes with me to get to know the people who make this Southern culinary landscape so special. I'm always hungry for the next bite, thirsty for that next sip, and ready for the next conversation. Let's dig in. The Southern Fork is presented this year by Townsend Automotive in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. For more than 40 years, the Townsend family of dealerships has been a locally owned company built on service and connection with its customers. And their experienced team can walk you through the whole process, side by side, from test drive to service oil changes and beyond. I've loved tooling about the southern backroads and superhighways this season in a Townsend Honda CR-V. And now I'm hooked on the great gas mileage, the comfortable maneuverability, and that backup camera for parallel parking success. Visit townsendhonda.com for current inventory, or if you're in West Alabama, stop in. Townsend Automotive salutes local entrepreneurs, from restaurateurs to podcasters, and they welcome you to be part of a community that does the same. The Southern Fork's culinary sponsor is Schumacher Pecans. It's baking season, and in the South, that often means baking with pecans. From pecan pies to cookies to sticky buns topped in syrup, pecans play an important role in many of the sweet classics of the Southern table. Schumacher is a classic too. Fifth-generation growers in South Georgia who turned me on to just how good a fresh pecan can be. They're harvesting them right now to be on your holiday table this season, and they have lots of different size and package options. Visit SchumacherPecans.com to place your order or to order a sweet treat for gifts, such as dark chocolate-covered pecans, available by the case, and they arrive already perfectly wrapped in green foil packaging. That's SchumacherPecans.com, SCHERMER Pecans.com. Taste how good a fresh pecan can be this season. It used to be that food trucks were incubators for emerging talent, but the last few years, with real estate prices skyrocketing and a pandemic rocking everything, that's not always the rule. Caitlin Schumacher isn't an emerging talent. She's an established powerhouse in the culinary scene. She grew up in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and graduated from UNC with a French degree. But after she started working at Magnolia Grill, she fell in love with the energy of the kitchen and decided to pursue her pastry passion. From there, she worked at the beloved 20th Century Cafe in San Fran, and most recently, 6 years as Executive Pastry Chef at Fig in Charleston. That is, until she got the chance to buy a food truck last summer. She's opened Girl Next Dough, a new business venture on 4 wheels with her dad, John McCormick. She's crafting breakfast and bakery dreams, from country ham and parmesan puffs to fresh bagels, lemon blueberry danishes, and apple buns. Welcome to the Southern Fork, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me out on Outer James Island. Where's the truck right this second?
The truck is parked at my commissary, which is over at Salt House, so it's like a mile from my house.
Yeah, it's really a close commissary. And Salt House is a great incubator for a lot of people. I know past guest Cynthia Wong was once making her ice cream treats at Salt House and has now moved to her own ice cream factory. But I'm so excited to get the chance to sit with you today because I've sat with you multiple times before. I mean, let's see what we've talked about. Peach leaf ice cream.
Peach leaf ice cream. I think that we did like an 80s nostalgia Baked Alaska.
Baked Alaska. I forgot about that one. That was a fun one. These are all editorial pieces that we've worked on together or I've interviewed Caitlin for. So it's got to be a really big decision to go out on your own.
Definitely.
After being in such a strong culinary program for so long. But somebody that's organized and type A like you, I know you had to have itchy feet for a while before you decided to pull the trigger.
Sure.
What was the thing that you started to creatively kind of feel before it started? The real big idea.
Yeah, I think I actually bought the truck without the real big idea. I just knew that I wanted to. I think I've known since I was a little kid. I wanted to own my own business. I wanted to be my own boss somehow, some way, probably before I knew I would cook professionally. So that itch, I think I have had probably since I started cooking and realized like this is the industry I want to be in. I'm never going to have a different kind of job. And the end goal is to have my own business of some kind. So Tori and I met. My husband, we met at the very first restaurant I ever worked at, Magnolia Grill in Durham.
Karen Barker.
Even back then when we first started dating, I remember we would like daydream about, fine dining, white tablecloth restaurants that we would maybe open together one day. And like, that's just adapted over the years into, I never thought I would open a food truck, but when the opportunity came my way, we were right in the middle of, COVID last summer. And I kind of thought to myself, like, if I don't do this, then what? And if it's not now, then when? I'm not going to open a restaurant. I'm not going to open a bricks and mortar bakery. I'm not yet right now.
Right.
So I'm just going to do this.
Well, there's amazingly for the place that Charleston is, there is a lack of dedicated bakeries here. There are a few really good ones. We're not going to go into them right now. But most of the suites run the restaurant dessert menu. Or they run Market Street with candies and confections. How do you feel as a pastry professional? How do you feel about that? And am I speaking the truth or do you feel that maybe I'm missing something?
As far as the bakery scene here in Charleston, I'd like to say that I get out to bakeries more often, but I'm mostly baking myself. I know here on James Island, I think that Baguette Magic has done a really good job of creating a place for the community. Not that it wasn't before, but kind of reinventing it and making it more pastry focused.
Right.
I think they're doing stuff that people love. And beyond that, I don't really leave James Island. So that's my 2 cents on the scene.
Well, yes, I had to cross like the blue flame once I crossed Wapoo Cut to come over here. So I was like, oh, I'm in Caitlin's territory now.
You're in the marsh.
Yeah, I'm in the marsh. So let's talk a little bit about how you would define your style now. At Fig, you really developed your own voice, your own culinary voice. So can you talk a little bit about what that is before I start to blab all about it?
I think that I have taken a lot of flavor profiles and ingredients and techniques and ideas from the amazing other pastry chefs I've worked with and kind of mashed them together into something that feels unique to me. But, we all know there's no real new idea. You know, I think of something, I Google it, and it's on the internet already. Someone did it. So sometimes I think that my inspiration comes from things that are really regular. Like today we made a s'mores Pop-Tart. I remember eating that as a kid. That's not new, but maybe the execution, maybe the design of it, maybe the way it looks is my particular style. And then I also take a lot of inspiration from, I worked with a woman named Michelle Polzine, who is a super talented pastry chef in San Francisco. I lived out there for 5 years, and I worked with her first at a restaurant called Range, and then she left to open her own place called 20th Century Cafe. She just did...
Just closed.
Just closed.
That was very famous. Very famous location.
You know, Michelle is one of the most talented people I've ever met. Like, she's just got it. Her hands are amazing. Like, she just creates really wonderful, delicate, incredibly intricate, layered cakes, torts, strudel. I didn't go to culinary school, so I can't say that my background was like French pastry. I think that Karen used all types of background as far as flavors, but probably rooted in French pastry technique. And then when I worked with Michelle, she had all this kind of like stuff I'd never even tasted before, much less
like the
made.
Great British Baking Show for the rest of us. You know, like if you've ever watched that, there are just all of these European pastries that I've never seen.
Right.
And I'm like, ooh, let's see about making that. You know, so it's a lot of fun for an American audience. So it must have been fun as a creative to be immersed into another lexicon, really.
She was also so passionate about this particular idea of opening the cafe that she did a huge research trip. She went to, you know, Prague and Vienna, and she bought, you know, picked out every single tile by hand, and she had vintage cake stands and vintage silverware, and she called the shop a time machine. And it really felt like that. And I think that was also informed, you know, what I wanted to eventually do for my business was not only, you know, make really good food, but create this environment for people.
Right, right. So how does that seed start from a food truck? Somebody is picking up something like a slice of pie. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that are actually on the truck, because I am all about giving the people what they want, and they want to hear your voice explaining desserts. But the beginning, that germ of that style that you're going to be having one day has to come in a box, has to come in a to-go thing. So how do you convey that beyond just the way it looks, but that taste? Is there a through thread of the stuff that you're doing now? Because you get the chance to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You don't have to pair things with
That's true.
with another chef.
You know, like I said, a lot of times we're trying to recreate a classic in some way. A lot of inspiration comes from, honestly, just the product I have in house. Right now I have a case of these really nice Italian long hot peppers, and, you know, I did some in the breakfast burrito last week. I spent quite a bit of time yesterday researching other things to do with them. And, you know, Tori's sitting here like, yeah, why did you order a whole cake? What are you doing? And I'm like, they sounded really good. I wanted to use them. I've got okra. Like, I'm coming up with a plan for that. So I think that with the sweets, it's truly just whatever we're feeling that week. Typically, I get a dough that I'm excited about, and then I do various iterations. So we worked really hard on our Danish dough, and now we're doing like Snickers bar Danish, sour cherry, blueberry, lemon. We're going to do like a creamsicle one. So a lot of times I'll kind of get that base. And again, it's, you know, girl next dough. Like, that's my favorite thing to make, is just all different kinds of dough. So
I love this idea because it's fences, and it can be savory and it can be sweet, but also maybe if I can put my little writerly cap on for a minute, this is really a lab. It's a fun lab that all of us get to eat because you are making things and we're with you. We're with you for the journey. We've been with you for a decade, and definitely 6 years in Charleston at Fig, but before at your other places. So how does it feel to just dry those wings off and be able to choose and not have to run through menu meetings or pair with something? You get to just play.
It's a lot of fun. And I had a lot of freedom at Fig and a lot of resources. But for some reason, like mentally, knowing that no one else is counting on me, really, I think has made me a lot more willing to, like at Fig, I would want to research a dessert and make it so many times and try to like really perfect it before putting it on the menu. Like that was really hard for me to kind of like Chef Jason would say, like, sometimes you just got to get it on the menu and then it'll evolve from there. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. No. We put up the umbrella and it's beautiful before we walk outside in the rain.
But I think also I kind of had like a little bit of a mental block. Like, well, you can do that though. I can't do that. Like, you're amazing.
And he is amazing. Like, but so are you.
I can't just put something on the menu and then mess with it every day and it just keeps gradually getting better, but it's always been really good from the start. Like maybe that's not me. And now that I'm running my own business, I find myself like really, what's the right word? Really easy with it. It's
letting it flow.
It's a burrito.
Yeah, it's a burrito.
So I'm like, okay, like, and this weekend we're going to put these peppers in here. And they were so incredibly spicy. I couldn't believe it. Like, but we just went with it, like the only thing that matters is if it's delicious.
Right. So a lot of people this is the time of year that they're really getting in the kitchen more. I call this Super Bowl season for my job. And I feel pretty real about that, even though I can't use that trademark, Super Bowl season. There's a lot of intimidation and people are going to hear what you just said and be like, yeah, because I don't want to choose something new to cook at Thanksgiving. Or can you tell us about like a mistake that you made?
I think what I can say is that I've made every mistake you can make on the actual truck, like with the equipment, I'm not kidding. This is so cringe-worthy, but like I've run out of gas for the generator in the middle of service.
Oh,
like
that's
we're just
fun.
Cooking and it's like, and you're like looking around like,
you're like, what does that sound?
Oh no. It's super embarrassing, and you're like, okay, well, I'm never going to do that again.
Right.
And then stuff outside of your control happens too. Like the battery for the water pump broke. So we didn't have running water one day. Our very first service, it was me and my dad, by the way. So it's just like funnier.
Yeah.
Laugh it off. But so, I bake bagels. So I've got all these full sheet pan trays with like seeds on them after I've cut them and on my like speed rack behind me during service. So you have to secure those with bungee cords before you drive. They slide out and fall on the ground.
And the seeds and the bagels go everywhere.
So that happened. Not with the bagels on them. Like we were leaving our first service, but that happened and me and my dad were just kind of laughing and kept driving. We're like, well, that just happened, but like, oh well.
So that tech stuff that you don't think about it.
Immediately after that, our coffee, we have like huge coffee thermoses.
Right.
Full of hot coffee. Those fell. So then it was like a seedy swamp. It was like not that funny anymore.
Right. It's funny now because it's clean.
It took me hours to clean. Like it was just, you feel really silly because it's the simple things.
It's always the simple things. That's the thing that I think I can say I'm a type A too. I think those are the things that get us. We're like, what? Oh, crap, there's not a gas line that I just turn on. And I knew that, but you don't know it until you know it, right? So how is it working with your dad in that space?
We're having so much fun.
You are? Yeah.
We're having such a good time. Yeah.
And do you
great.
prep together or just do service together?
Prep together as well. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. What has been your favorite thing that you have served out of the food truck since it started?
Okay. I guess like 2 weekends ago, I did just a classic bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. Like bacon, fried egg, thick slice, cheddar.
But that is, iconic in New York. I mean, you can't mess up.
Right. I was a little nervous. Like, yeah, I haven't had that. I haven't gone to the bodegas in New York and had a bunch. Like, I don't know. But like I said, it just has to be delicious. Mm-hmm. So we made it. We tried a bunch of different breads. I knew like I feel like a bun is classic, right? Mm-hmm. So I decided not to do that because it's not going to be the same anyway, right? So my little like quarantine project was sourdough brioche, like loaves of it. So I made that, sliced it. Like me and my dad were tasting it. Like, needs something. What does it need? He's like, Dijon. I'm like, I hate mustard. No, it's not that. Like, so we ended up doing this Russian dressing on it. Oh, so random. Mm-hmm. And it was just so tasty and good. And so that was fun. And I was also excited to like execute fried eggs, as simple as that sounds.
It is not simple to do
in volume.
It's very, yes, because I eat eggs a lot. I love eggs, and even one or two can, if I'm not paying attention, much less 8 or 10 at a time, it's a lot. So
yeah, so that was a fun one.
This is the thing that I would like to say. I think you are very brave. You've always been a brave cook, and the peach leaf ice cream, although you had seen it done before, it was brave. Baked Alaska is a brave thing to put on a menu that has to be done in service. And a lot of pastry chefs aren't there during service. So you have to light something. I mean, you have to make it happen, right? So there's a lot of courage in your work. Do you feel more courageous now on the truck knowing that, hey, coffee falls down, seeds are there. I can deal with this. We'll make this work. My dad and I will work it out.
Right. Yeah, I guess you could say that.
And what are you looking forward to? What's making you hungry?
Well, I guess like you said, like maybe it is feeling courageous. Like maybe it is the feeling of all the stuff, going wrong. Not really, but like just the little stuff. Mm-hmm. But there's little stuff every day. Like every time something, like the night before we open, I physically broke our cash drawer. I physically broke our square terminal. It was a total mess. Mm-hmm. We've opened without lids for the hot coffee cups or sleeves. Like we've done stuff like that. And I think that what makes me hungry is just knowing that that's going to keep happening. And every time it's like I look at my dad and we just laugh and it's like, well, that's today's, And
but also that there's something, when you start to tighten up, you start to notice.
Right.
You're like, oh, remember when we didn't have the sleeves? Or remember that time we ran out of gas because I forgot to get gas for the generator? And that just doesn't happen anymore. You're teaching yourself. But it'll be something else. It will be something else. I promise you it's always something else.
Like we use a little wine cooler as our proofing box. Set it to 55 degrees. I ran a bunch of experiments because I need that dough to be ready to bake at 4 a.m. I don't have time to proof it. That'll be down and we just won't have that for the day. It'll be like stuff out of your control, even if you remember the coffee lids.
Right.
And so I think for me, knowing that I can deal with that.
Right.
And just move forward and,
still smile. And
we forgot a cutting board on the truck one day. Tori always comes by on Saturday, Sunday, and he was like, is this a Tupperware? And I was like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm so upset.
For cutting bagels.
For cutting 120 bagels.
Yeah.
It was.
Well,
yeah.
Yes.
So I think, just knowing that, you know what? I can deal with, I hope, most of what comes my way.
Well, that's what I mean by courageous, because a lot of people, especially, and not just pastry chefs, any chefs, there's a tendency to play it safe. And I would say Girl Next Door is not safe at all. It's kind of fun to see. So, because I just know that the lab is coming up with really great experiments that are only going to grow. What is one aspect of your job that meshes like a puzzle piece with an aspect of your natural personality?
I love being my own boss. I thought I would, and I really, really do. And I've had really great bosses, but
yeah, the pedigree is pretty good.
I just always knew that I would love it, and that's what I wanted to do, and that's awesome. My friend Jihi has a business called Perilla out in LA. She's amazing. We cooked together like 10 years ago at Range, and she was on like the New York Times last year. She's just so talented. We were chatting, and I was like, "Do you want to come visit in January?" And she's like, "Sure. What week?" I'm like, "Okay, like whatever, actually any week." She's like, "Yeah, I can do any week." And she's like, "Isn't this awesome?" I was like, this is so awesome. Like that we can just do this for the first time ever.
Right. And you can see the sun
but
outside.
Not that like, even when you've had great bosses and they accommodate like whatever it is you want to do, just that autonomy of like, I don't even have to ask anybody.
Right. So you're able to make decisions, because freedom can be debilitating if you've got too much of it. You're
like, I've made some bad decisions too.
Yeah. Well,
as
you
my
and
own
me
boss.
too.
Like, but I'm like, well, I can do this. I'm tired, and it's going to take me 10 minutes to portion the salmon for tomorrow, but I don't want to do it right now. I'm going to do it in the morning. My morning starts at 4. Like, if I save that for 15 minutes is everything.
Yeah.
When you open at 8, Yeah. Like, so that's another thing that's been fun is I'm like, I did it again. But you're learning. It's new and it's exciting.
Yeah.
It feels like growth.
Good. Did you ever work mornings at any of the other jobs? Because Fig, you worked at night.
I did. When I started at Magnolia Grill, I worked in the evening, and then I was promoted to a pastry assistant, and that was a morning job. At 20th Century Cafe, I worked in the morning. But again, those weren't really that early. It was like 6 or 7. At Fig, I always worked in noon till late. And
then 4 a.m. is very different.
4 a.m. is very different, but I love it.
Good. Not many people say that. It's very weird.
I love going to bed early. I think that might be it.
Yeah, because you're just like, well, I gotta go to bed. I'm gonna snuggle in.
I love sleeping. I love going to bed early. It suits me. So,
what is keeping you up at night?
I think that something I think about is right now, like me and my dad are kind of in this sweet spot where we're, super reliable and dependent to one another, and we don't have to worry about any other staff. But my business will need to do more business to be viable long term. So what does that look like? Like, when does that happen? How do I eventually grow and hire somebody? And how do I compete with restaurants? And does anybody want to bake? And those are the things I think about.
Yeah, those are big questions. And I've interviewed people on food trucks, more than a few, and there's only so much room.
That too.
Physically, to either expand your workspace or to have another person in it. And that makes it difficult as well.
You are somewhat limited by that.
But commissaries really help bear that burden a little bit.
Yeah, and we do some like small catering and wedding cakes, and there's always you can be creative.
Southern Fork cupcakes. Although if I was going to choose what I want you to cook, it's not going to be cupcakes. I'm going to have to really consider.
Wait till you have the pie.
Oh, yes. Before we talk about your picnic basket, which I will hold for a moment, I am being sent home with a mini picnic basket of my own, and it is going to include 2 pieces of pie. I can see them, and they look delicious, and I will try not to eat them in the car. But will you tell me what they are?
Oh, definitely. So one is one of Karen Barker's recipes that I always loved. It's a pumpkin cognac cheesecake, has a ginger snap crust and a sour cream topping. And
so horrible. Completely horrible.
The other one, did you ever have the butterscotch pot de creme at Fig?
I did, and I didn't bring it up. But
that is the butterscotch pot de creme in my first effort on a gluten-free pie crust. So don't judge me too much.
I'm going to have to tear up a little bit. Oh, my God. I love that butterscotch so much.
Thank you. Well, I wasn't sure if that would work, but
I think it's a go. I think that's a go. Anyone that knows me knows that I will tear up when food is good. It's a problem. So that's exciting. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
But I will try not to eat that in the car because I will wreck on these windy roads out here in James Island. I brought you a picnic basket. It is something that I do for Southern Fork guests. I would love to bring you some of your favorite things. I can time travel with this. I can conscript anybody to cook anything that you would like. And I can cook a little bit, usually bake, but not for you. Not baking anything. I will bring napkins. So what can I put in the basket for you?
All right. Like I said, I thought about this a lot.
Oh, no. Here we go.
Well, I think I interpret it as more of like a death row meal rather than like just a lovely picnic.
Well, I don't believe in the death row.
Okay.
I don't believe in the death penalty and execution. So for me, yes, this is the death row meal question that we all do as chefs, but reinterpreted. Okay. And that reinterpretation is something that brings you life.
I would just say like a perfect rare ribeye steak and cold chocolate cake.
Wow. That's really good. Okay. So what are we drinking with that?
Some red wine that someone else who knows something picked.
Great. And why cold chocolate cake?
I don't know. I just like that. There's something so comforting about it. It reminds me of like I always had a chocolate cake for my birthday growing up. I love chocolate. And when it's cold, it's like this kind of like leftover, like maybe you're having it like late night the next day. Like, I don't know. I just love cold chocolate cake.
Well, it sounds great. So on that note, if people want to learn more about Girl Next Dough in Charleston, South Carolina, you can go to thesouthernfork.com. I'm going to have links there. If you are visiting, you can click those links and look for the truck and have some delectable breakfast items and sweet items. If you can track her down. She does sell out pretty early because she fancy, y'all. She might be in a truck, but she's fancy. So if you like what you hear, I love doing this show, but I would not be doing it without you as a listener. So thank you so much for listening today and traveling along with me, sometimes just across a couple bridges from my own house. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on this. I'm so excited for you.
Thanks.
Hello and welcome to Talking with My Mouthful. Caitlin and I referenced her peach leaf ice cream, and I really wanted to remember exactly what I wrote about it. And so I popped into the archives and found my article from Paste Magazine in 2016. And I actually listed a lot of unusual ice creams in Charleston that summer. I love writing about baking and pastry, but I definitely also love writing about ice cream. And each year I try my best to have at least one ice cream focused article. They usually come out published around late summer because that's when people are really thinking about ice cream. So I wanted to just read you a little bit of the description that I wrote in 2016 of this ice cream. I said, it has the most unusual flavor, that of almond or pistachio, and she learned how to make it from another chef who once learned the technique at Chez Panisse. highly labor intensive because each leaf has to be washed and thoroughly dried. It's worth the creamy green result and one of the most sublime flavors you will encounter this summer. She was newly appointed to her post at Fig when I wrote this, but I also said if this ice cream is any indication, we are in for a sweet ride. I have been a fan of her work for a long time, and I just wanted to pop in here and give you a little bit of background because I love staying in this profession long enough to have a relationship that really ebbs and flows, even though I had never seen her out of a chef's coat before Girl Next Door. I have gotten the chance to interview her and see her work in the kitchen and really watch her grow as a culinary creative. This podcast, I always reiterate, really comes out of my own work. From the beginning, I wanted to allow you into the kitchen with me, and I've been in the kitchen with Caitlin for years, and now that she's in the food truck, I got to share her work with you. So thanks so much for listening today, and I look forward to bringing you another culinary conversation next week. Until then, have y'all left a review yet? Please do that before the end of the year. It is really, really crazy out there, and those algorithms are improved by every review. Thanks so much for considering, and I'll be right here next week.
You've been listening to The Southern Fork. I can't wait to bring you more culinary conversations, but in the meantime, I have one question. Are you gonna eat all that?